What's up, YouTube? This is your boy Perfect Cell, and I'm back with another recognition video. But this time, it's not going to be on a video game, it's going to be on a movie. And what movie am I talking about, you might ask? I'm talking about the classic 2007 film by Eddie Murphy called Norbit. And before I get into that, I just want to say this. I'm glad to see my boy Eddie Murphy back on the map. In case of y'all didn't know, Eddie Murphy is my second favorite comedian of all time. Eddie Murphy's comedic style is very diverse, with white audience, black audience, adult audience, and kid audience. And just recently, Eddie Murphy put out Dolomite Is My Name on Netflix. And if y'all got Netflix, I suggest y'all watch that right now. That movie is really good. It's about the autobiography of Rudy Ray Moore. And I must tell you, Rudy Ray Moore's Dolomite is the, I almost cussed. And I also like Humor Tornado better than Dolomite. Like Humor Tornado's comedy, that was kind of trippy. Like when I watched Humor Tornado for the first time, I was like, dang, am I on acid? Like what am I watching? But nah, it's funny though. It's funny though. You won't be disappointed with Humor Tornado though. But I'll cover those two movies in the future. Now let's get back to the movie at hand, Norbit. Now, when I first heard about Norbit, I remember seeing it on a preview of The Codename The Cleaners with D. Ray Davis and Cedric the Entertainer. And I remember the preview. I seen Eddie Murphy in it. I seen Cat Williams in it. And I heard Charlie Murphy's voice in it. Oh, and let's not forget the oh so pretty fine Thandie Newton. Boy, she's sexy. Let me get to the topic. But yeah, Charlie Murphy's voice. And I just want to say this, before we get further into this video, I just want to have a moment of silence for Charlie Murphy. May we remember him, may he rest in peace.
My name is Tyree, and yeah, I went to prison.
I'm your roommate, Chad.
Well, look at here, Chad. For the entire period you in my room, I better not catch you standing up peeing. You sit down when you pee, you understand? That's right. Now get your fat ass on out of here, white boy.
Tyree made me really uncomfortable, the way he was looking at me and Katie. There's something in his eyes that kind of scared me, you know, and it wasn't appropriate.
Can't stop, won't stop, huh? Can't stop, won't stop. Yes. Okay? Can't stop. A Christmas song show. I can do
Rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. I'll never forget that laugh you did at the Prince skit on the Chappelle Show. But back to the topic at hand. Those previews had me laughing hard in the theater, and I eagerly awaited for the movie. And when I finally got to see the movie, it was everything I wanted in the film and much more, as it had me laughing every time I watched the film. Like, every real comedian in that movie showed off their greatest assets. Eddie Murphy's classic chameleon style, Cat Williams' flamboyant attitude, Eddie Griffin's hype attitude, and Charlie Murphy's urban sense of humor. It was just state-of-the-art comedy, and right about now, I'm going to get into the plot of Norbit. So with no further ado, I'm going to go into the plot, I'm going to go into the favorite scenes of the movie, and I'm also going to go into the reviews, which the reviews weren't so good, but I'll still go over it anyway. This story is about an orphan named Norbit, who is taken in by an Asian cantankerous restaurant owner by the name of Mr. Wong. Mr. Wong's biggest dreams is to go whaling. Now, while Norbit is getting settled into the orphanage, he meets a little girl named Kate over there, who we will see later on in the adulthood. Him and Kate had a bond and they became buddy partners in the orphanage. And they even got married in the oak tree Well, they didn't really get married. They got married like kids. They became best friends forever until, well, she got adopted. This led Norbit sad for a couple of years, but finally he was able to get over her as he meets Rasputia, an overweight, ratchet female who thinks real high and mighty of herself and is very egotistical. Now, Rasputia is also played by Eddie Murphy too, as Mr. Wong is as well. Rasputia is part of the Lattimore family, and she's the youngest of 4 kids, as she has 3 older brothers. Big Black, who is played by Terry Crews. Blue, I think that's what his name is, played by that one guy from My Wife is Kids. Calvin, the big dude. And Earl, who was played by the legendary Clifton Powell. And the 3 brothers kind of took in Norbit as him and Rasputia decided to go steady. Later on in Norbit and Rasputia's adulthood, the Lattimores hooked Norbit up with a job. And what's the job they asked? Is Lattimore construction. Yeah, it sounds harmless, right? Well, the Lattimores, they're a little, they kind of like Suge Knight up in there, as they extort everybody in the town and threaten to hurt them if they didn't go with the business deal that they got going for themselves. Eventually on to the film, Norbit and Rasputia gets married. And everybody is opposed to this marriage except for the Lattimores, and of course Norbit and Rasputia. Norbit says over and over again that he's happily married, when he's clearly not. Rasputia is every man's worst nightmare for a wife. She is super jealous, she's abusive, and not to mention she cheated on Norbit. Well, I wouldn't hold that against Rasputia on that last part, because all thoughts cheat. That's what make them thoughts. And above all, Norbit often gets sucked into all of Rasputia's shenanigans. And after one big argument that Norbit and Rasputia had, Norbit winds up meeting his childhood lifetime buddy partner Kate at a puppet show that he was just hosting. Now, I'm going to play a scene that's probably going to get me a copyright claim, but I really don't care because I think this scene is funny and I want y'all to look at it, as it's the funniest scene in the movie in my opinion. And best believe that's going to be on the top 5 funny scenes that I got for this movie later on in the video. But anyways, here you go.
Steal my food. No, I won't steal your food.
Don't let that pig push you around, Goose.
Yeah, I'm tired of you pushing me around.
Look, I'm tired of playing with your ass, bitch. I know you got ribs in that basket. You better give them up smooth or I'm gonna break my hoof off in your goose ass.
Oh, really? Well, why don't you get up off your lazy behind and go down to the rib shack and get your own ribs? Or better still, why don't you just call Buster and tell him to come over and power tap you? Because in addition to being the pig of the forest, you're also a cell tramp whore, big pig.
Oh man, that scene is funny. And why did Norbit make the pig sound like that? He was like, look, I'm tired of playing with your ass. You better give me those ribs or I'm gonna break my hooks off of your goose ass. Woo. But anyways, Kate, she ends up going back in town to take over the orphanage because Mr. Wong is planning on retiring for whaling. As Norbit hears this news, he is on cloud 9. But before I go further into the plot, I must say this, man. Fanny Newton is freaking sexy, bro. Oh my goodness. Now, me personally, I don't really like him skinny, but Fanny Newton, man, she fine as hell. Even if she is, look like she missed a couple meals, she still look good. But anyways, back to the story. So Norbit is happy to see that Kate's back in town for good, but there's one problem. Norbit finds out that Kate is engaged to a guy named Dion, who was played by Cuba Gooding Jr., aka Radio. But guess what? Dion has some skeletons in the closet, which we will find out later on in the movie, as he's a deadbeat father, a con artist, and above all, a gigolo. As Dion plots on his next hustle, the Lattimores propose him an offer that Dion cannot refuse, which is turn the orphanage into a strip club and let Dion get some of the profits. This idea led Dion into consummating the marriage a lot faster than expected. But later on, Norbit and Kate, they start hanging out and catching up on lost time, which eventually led them into going on a date. And then later on, led to Kate finding Norbit attractive. which confuses her a whole lot. Later on, Rasputia catches on to Norbit and realizes that he's having an affair. So her plan is to keep Norbit for ransom and threatens to hurt Kate if Norbit goes and see her again, which leads Norbit into being rude and ugly to Kate next time they see each other, and ultimately just drive Kate away from him. This whole series of unfortunate events led Norbit into skipping town until Mr. Wan stopped him and Mr. Wan found some dirt on Dion. The next day the wedding starts and Norbit escapes the house to intervene in the wedding to expose Dion and express his feelings for Kate. When that plan finally worked, the wedding was off, the Lattimore's plans were foiled, and they decided to go after Norbit, which leads into an all-out brawl with the Lattimores versus the whole town, which led to the conclusion of Norbit marrying Kate, the Lattimores are no more, and Mr. Wong retiring peacefully to go whaling. Now, I want to go over the 5 funniest scenes in Norbit. Now, there's definitely more than 5 funny scenes in here, but to me, these 5 scenes are the most funniest scenes in the movie in my opinion. Number 5 we have It's Raining Little White Women. Pope, Sweet Jesus, and Lord Have Mercy, the 2 pimps in the movie. I love this scene because the poor little girl got catapulted by the jumping machine into a haystack. And as she falls in the haystack, that's when Pope Sweet Jesus was like, it's raining little white women. As he convinces Lord Have Mercy that his prayers has came. And Lord Have Mercy, he revels in his prayers being answered. But also, this is the part that was funny to me. Pope Sweet Jesus suggests Lord Have Mercy that she better get out the way because he's praying for a Cadillac to come out the sky next. Woo. Number 4 we have Don't Adjust My Seat. Now this scene right here is probably one of the most imitated scenes in the movie. Being that Rasputia is, well, a big woman, the last thing you would expect is for her to have a car smaller than Steve Urkel's Isetta. And then as she constantly struggles to get in the car, she keeps hitting the steering wheel, keep hitting the horn and all that. She keeps accusing the Norbit for moving her seat up too close to the steering wheel, as the seat is clearly at a normal distance from the steering wheel. And she keeps honking the horn with her, I think it's like 54 double live cups. I don't freaking know. And she's saying it's a scientific fact that Norbit keeps messing with her seat. Number 3 we have Turkey Ass. Now this scene to me was funny because it was very unexpected. So in this scene, the Lattimore brothers are introduced in the scene as Big Black help out Norbit growing up and becoming the man as he wants him to be the man in Rasputia's life. And then because of this, he saves Norbit the quote-unquote best piece for him. And what is that piece, you might ask? It's a turkey ass. Yes, that's right, a literal turkey's buttocks with the cheeks and the anus all together. Man, this must have been the original term, eat the booty like groceries. Like what in the world, bro? You know this the country. Number 2, the 2 pimps start a wedding. This part of the movie cracks me up every time I watch this part of the movie. So Norbit is on his way to expose Dion and the Lattimores for their diabolical plan to take over the orphanage that Norbit and Kate grew up in for a strip club. As Mr. Wong finds out about this whole situation that's going on with Norbit escaping, he wants the 2 pimps to start the wedding, as the 2 pimps obliged to start the wedding until Norbit gets to the wedding. And then the 2 pimps, oh my goodness, it's just hilarious. They talk about their advertisements from condoms, prostitution, and eventually their rib shack. And then they start dancing to the choir tune. And then Pope Sweet Jesus, man, he is getting it. Like he dancing doing footwork and all that. And Lord have mercy, who was played by Cat Williams, bro, dude was dancing like Forrest Gump with the braces on his legs still. And last but not least, we have the puppet show. I already mentioned this scene, so I'm probably not going to talk much about it, but I still love this scene. Because this scene was definitely not expected in the movie at all. Like, the scene starts off pretty innocent, you know, Norbit entertaining the little kids, and then later on, he lets all of his pent-up aggressions that he's dealing with at home and lets it out on the stage, and everything escalates quickly. And before things get even worse, Mr. Wong comes in and intervenes and shut the whole organization down. And I still want to know, why did Norbit make that pig sound like that? Dude sound like a janitor who used to be in the jazz band. I don't know. So the reviews were not that good, which was weird because everybody who I know that know the movie loved the movie. And honestly, I really don't see how the score got to be so low. I mean, it was a comedy movie. It served its purpose. All the scenes in the movie were supposed to be funny, and all the scenes were funny. So I don't understand it. And not to mention, I don't mean to talk about other YouTubers, and I respect Watch Mojo, but I was kind of bothered that they said that it was a bad movie too, which kind of puts me under the impression that Watch Mojo pretty much goes off the ratings and not their own beliefs. But hey, to each his own, I guess. But like I said, every comedian in that movie showed off their greatest assets, and this is my second favorite Eddie Murphy movie of all time. And I also can't wait to see my boy make out more projects, because I'm glad to see him back on the map. But anyways, this concludes this video. This is your perfect sale, and I'm Ghost.